질서 있게 진행하는 것과 함께 백발백중의 사격설과 무쇠 같은 체력을 소유한 펄펄 나는 일당백이 삼권들을 존귀시켜야 한다고 하시며 지병중 사격 요리도 가르쳐 주시었습니다. 경의하는 최고 사령관 동지께서는 각종 사격 방법과 관련한 녹화물을 잘 만들어 전군에 내려보내줘 경의하는 방백 초령의 무자비한 구정력을 힘있게 과시하는 인민군 본인들 경의하는 최고 사령관 동지께서는 대연합 부대들이 협동작전으로 조신할때는 침략의 무리들이 신성한 내 조국 강토에 단 한 점이 불꽃이라도 튕긴다면 한몸부대로 총폭탄이 되어 적진에 뛰어들어 불벼락을 내릴 수경렬의 계산 훈련장에 나리치고 있습니다. 경의하는 최고 사령관 동지께서는 전투원들이 적진을 단숨에 타고 앉는 모습을 쌍안경으로 보시며 펄펄 난다고 아마 훈련이 아니라 실전이면 적들이 미처 정신을 차릴 수
In breaking news, there are reports that North Korea has just launched a ballistic missile from a location near the country's eastern border with China. South Korean officials say the missile may have landed in waters just off Japan.
Hello everyone, you're watching CNN. I'm Michael Holmes with this breaking news. North Korea has just launched a missile that may have landed in Japan's exclusive economic zone. Now, all we know at the moment is South Korean military officials saying it was launched from North Korea and landed in the sea east of the Korean peninsula. Of course, this coming at a time of great tension and renewed pressure being applied by the US and others, at least verbally, on North Korea to roll back its nuclear ambitions. There is absolutely no sign that North Korea is willing to do that. Let's get to Paula Hancock's in Seoul. Paula, another missile test. These are not unusual in recent months, of course, but it comes at a pretty delicate time, doesn't it?
I guess it's always a delicate time these days when it comes to the relationship between the US and North Korea. Just a couple of details that we have coming in about the missile itself. As you say, that the Defence Ministry official saying it's an unidentified ballistic missile, that from Joint Chiefs of Staff. We know that President Moon Jae-in of South Korea has called for a National Security Council meeting with the top leaders in the country to discuss this.
An emergency meeting of the National Security Council. It started about half an hour ago. It was chaired initially by the head of the National Security Office, but we are hearing that President Moon himself took over at the top of the hour, so just a few minutes ago. According to a senior Blue House official, President Moon had received reports on unusual movements from the North Korean military prior to the missile launch this morning, and the very first incident report was made just 1 minute after the launch. With the meeting taking place as we speak, the government will likely review South Korea's defence readiness against any additional provocations. It will also decide on the appropriate response to the provocation once the range and type of missile launched has been carefully.
We do believe, according to the Japanese side, that it may have landed in their exclusive economic zone. This wouldn't be the first time that this has happened, but of course it does concern the Japanese greatly when this happens closer to the coastline there. So it was fired from North Pyongyang province. This is on the west coast of North Korea, fairly close to the border with China, and then fired in an easterly direction into the waters.
China's envoy to the UN is warning that ongoing tensions with North Korea could, quote, get out of control if world powers do not find a way to cool the situation. Making the remarks on Monday, Ambassador Liu Jie added, quote, disastrous consequences would be in store unless dialogue was reopened. Beijing has been proposing a freeze of North Korea's weapons program in exchange for the suspension of Seoul and Washington's joint military drills. It has failed to gain traction, however, with Washington saying Pyongyang must first demonstrate a serious attitude towards disarmament before any talks can take place. The ambassador's remarks come a day after President Trump spoke on the phone with Chinese President Xi Jinping on various threats posed by North Korea.
Certainly, it is always an interesting time for North Korea to be firing these missiles.
Kim Jong-un could soon order a sixth underground nuclear test. It could lead to President Trump considering military action.
Policy of the Trump administration to deny North Korea the capability of building an ICBM that can hit the American homeland with a nuclear weapon on top. Is that the policy?
Yes, it is, Senator Graham.
But does North Korea already have a missile that could hit the United States?
They already have the capability to deploy an intercontinental ballistic missile. The question is, when will they be able to make a nuclear weapon?
Stopping Kim from getting a nuclear weapon with U.S. firepower may be impossible.
I think it's just too late. Unless you have a full-scale military invasion where you're going to just go in and sweep the country, we simply will not be able to end these programs.
Spy satellites spotted personnel and vehicles at one of the tunnel entrances at this test site. U.S. officials familiar with the classified assessment of Kim's personality profile say he is so unpredictable there is no way to tell what he might do next.
Have a responsibility, we the Department of Defense, number one, to deter any provocation by Kim Jong-un in the meantime, and to provide the president with a list of options in the event that hostilities occur. And that's exactly what we're doing.
But the Pentagon also specifically updated military options to respond to a nuclear test. Some officials say a test could indicate China's pressure on Kim isn't working, and therefore military options would be presented to the president.
What always comes into my mind is that if you've got a leader that doesn't care what economic sanctions do to his people, I don't know how you influence him. How do you hurt him? What is he?
Well, yes, exactly. You need to hurt the elites around him, and I don't want to diminish the threat posed by the nuclear weapons, but the conventional threat is already real. It's already every day. The South Koreans and I mentioned our troops there, and also now in Japan, are under direct threat from North Korean conventional attacks. So in terms of whether they can hit the mainland, it looks like they're making strides. Whether they can miniaturize a nuclear weapon and put it on that missile and hit the United States, they're not there yet. But the experts estimate it can happen within President Trump's term, so this 4-year term. which is regrettable, of course. So I think what needs to be done is we need to go back to 1994, really, when we had the agreed framework, which is basically freezing North Korea's nuclear program.